Hello and welcome to New Videocast. I'm Layla Swan and I lead communications here at New. Our guest today is Laura Marino. She's general manager of the New Bank account and one of our top global leaders. She's here today to discuss how to build and scale truly transformational products. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, Layla. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
That's fantastic. Let's start right away. So, Laura, you manage a product that has over 110 million customers in 3 countries. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it takes to actually build a product that's so successful?
I think that there are four key things to build a product like that. The first one, and probably the most important one, is to focus on the customer. We need to deeply understand our customers, understand their needs, and build a product that truly solves a problem for them. But it's not just solving the problem, it's solving it in a way that delights our customers. The second one is building a product that generates the trust from our customers. We handle our customers' money. So we have to focus very much on building products that are safe, that are compliant, and that are reliable so that customers have access to the money when they need it and that they know that we're following all of the regulations. The third one is to build with a global mindset. As you mentioned, we have customers in multiple countries and we continue to expand. So we need to build those products thinking globally, not locally. And finally, we need to have a very strong team. It's not just about having the best talent in product, in engineering, in design. It's also having the talent that is passionate about the mission that we have to help our customers.
That's fantastic. Let's jump into those components. And the first one you mentioned is customer delight. Here at New Bank, we have this mission of being customer obsessed. What the customer wants is what we want to give to them and uncomplicate their financial lives. Tell us a little bit more about how you tackle that when you are building a product. Like, how do you even figure out what will delight a customer?
So we start by deeply understanding our customers, and we do a lot of customer interviews. In fact, in our team, we have what we call customer connect events, where we, and this includes product managers, designers, analysts, and of course, the research team, we go and immerse ourselves with our customers. We go to where they are. We talk to them. We even visit their houses. We bring them to our offices. We understand what their challenges are, what their goals are, what their dreams are. And that information helps us to determine what we need to build for them. And we do that in each of our countries because we acknowledge that while we're building a product that solves pretty much the same need for all of them, each country is unique. Each set of customers has a different context. That's the first step. Then, when we build the product, we are obsessive about experimenting and testing what works. On an ongoing basis, we have over 100 experiments going. So, when we launch something new, when we provide a new piece of functionality to the customers, we're typically are testing different versions to see which one is the one that's the most intuitive, which one is the one that our customers like best. And we have surveys with our customers all the time to really get their feedback and understand what works and what we may want to change.
Laura, I'm fascinated by these customer connect events that you do hold out with your team, and it's a cross functional effort from what you're telling me. Do you discover things that were really counterintuitive to yourselves? Like, what's the biggest takeaways in these moments?
We absolutely do. When we talk to customers and get a little bit deeper in their day to day lives, for example, we had a visit to one of our customers, and she was explaining how she has her own little side business and she manages both her personal and her business finances in the same account. And there are things she wishes we could do in terms of helping her separate how she manages her finances. Well, guess what? We're working on that now. But to really see that use case, why it is that's important for her to be able to separate what she's saving for her business versus what she's saving for her kids was very important for us.
That's great. I'm wondering too, is this like a common practice in the financial industry to be so close and have so many feedback loops directly with human customers, one to one?
I don't think that that's common, especially in the financial industry. When you look at some of the large banks, those are mostly companies that had focused on just the financial results for the bank. They are very focused on the numbers, but I think that many of them are very removed from the day-to-day needs of the customers that they serve. I think we are a tech company, and we're very focused on really our primary goal, our main goal is to serve our customers, and we cannot do that if we don't understand them.
I absolutely concur. The second component you mentioned is trust. So, we're handling people's money, and, money matters are complicated for people and very different across the board. How do you take that into account in your global product management?
We build our products with safety, security, and compliance from the very beginning. Of course, we are in a regulated environment. Financial regulation is designed to protect our customers. So we are very aware that compliance is not an afterthought. So we build our products with compliance in mind, with security in mind, with the best security practices in the industry. And we also focus very much on reliability. We're handling people's money. We want to make sure that the money is there when they need it. And if you consider the number of customers that we have, the number of transactions, just to give you an idea, in Brazil, we handle about 4 billion transactions per month. And we want to make sure that those transactions are successful all the time. So it is something that's core to us being able to provide the best service to our customers. And as an example, for the fourth quarter in a row, we have been the institution in Brazil with the lowest number of complaints.
That's great. I love that you made that reference. This is the central bank's, ranking for the largest 15th institutions in the country, and we have been rocking it in the last 4 quarters. Lori, you also talked about the global mindset. So how does that differ? I mean, I can totally understand how these products can be very specific to a country, but you're building on a platform level. Can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Yes, as you mentioned, we're in 3 countries. We want to expand. We want to serve more customers worldwide. And to do that, we cannot go and build again and again and again in every country. So when you think about bank account, it's actually a very complex product. We make it look very simple to our customers. It's very complex. We're handling the deposits for people, we're calculating the yield, we're calculating their taxes. Then we're handling all these different transactions, and transactions go over different rails depending on the country. And of course, we are also dealing with the reality that countries are different. In Mexico, for example, cash is still very, very important. So we need to provide ways for people to bring their cash in and to cash out. In Brazil, that's such a digital economy, that's less important. So what we do is we really look at what are the things that are common. We build platforms that serve the purpose, but then can be extensible and configurable to meet the unique needs of each country. And we do that in a way from the bottom up. So at the level of the platforms, how we handle deposits, yes, it varies by country, but it is one unified platform that allows us to be much more efficient, much more reliable. How we handle transactions, while underneath each rail is different, we have been able to abstract what are the main jobs to be done. And it is the same job to be done. And that also allows us to generalize the experiences, optimizing for each country. So for example, with transactions, with payments transferred out, in Pix, we have optimized how a person can do a Pix. It's so simple. Well, now we're going to Mexico. Mexico has SPAY, their instant payment. We have taken that same optimized experience, we have adjusted it for running with SPAY. And the same in Colombia, now that Breve, their instant payment system, is coming.
Mhm. Can you tell us a little bit more about Breve? I think you might be
Yes.
excited because I know you are Colombian.
I am very excited. So Breve is the instant payment system in Colombia that is promoted by the government. And I'm very excited because it's going to really bring a lot more of the financial inclusion to Colombia. Colombia has been a country where 2 banks own all of the customers. It's been very much a monopoly. And that has given little flexibility for customers to really figure out where they want to put their money. And it has made transacting expensive. If you want to make an instant payment, if you're not part of one of those banks and in their own network, it's going to be expensive. Breve is changing it. It is the equivalent of Pix in Brazil. And of course, Pix in Brazil has been incredibly successful. It's an example to the world. And so Breve will be to Colombia what Pix is in Brazil. It will allow people to transact no matter where the recipient has the money in which bank. And we have this huge advantage that we have all the experience with Pix. And in fact, even though Breve is launching now, there was an initial smaller network connecting multiple of their banks. And because we had platformized a lot of the instant payment, we were able to accelerate the release of instant payments in Colombia by over 6 months due to our global platform.
That's amazing. And that's true overall as well. I think in Brazil, it took us 4 years to launch our bank account. And then in Mexico, it was a little bit faster, and Colombia was a little bit faster. Can you tell us about like the speed of scale that's happening once we do reach this platform level and how we can operate a lot more quickly? How do you coordinate amongst countries? Because you are at a global level managing this product, but dealing with our market leaders as well, right?
Yes, and again, as I mentioned before, we acknowledge that customers in each country are unique. We're not trying to impose one fit for all. We work very closely with each of the countries to understand the details and what we need to adjust, what we need to modify or extend for each country. But again, at the level of the job to be done, what our customers are trying to do is very similar. They try to be able to bring money in, to organize their money, to save for their future, for their dreams, while also maintaining the money for the payments that they need to make. So as we look at that with this global lens, we've been able to build these platforms and those experiences. And when we get to a new country, it's more a matter of adjusting them versus building from scratch. And as we have increased the functionality and the richness of the bank account, when we go to a new country, not only do we launch faster, is we launch faster with more of the functionality from day one. And that's very, very
So
exciting.
there's a lot of learnings coming from
Yes.
different places that we can apply to each location, right?
Absolutely.
The other component you mentioned right at the beginning was team talent.
Oh, yes.
And I want to give you the microphone for that one.
We are passionate about our teams. For us to build the best product for our customers with the scalability, with the reliability, with this incredible experience, we need to build the strongest teams. We attract excellent talent across the board in engineering, in product, in design, in analytics. But it's not just finding people who have great talent or great experience. It's finding the people who are passionate about our mission. Nubank has very strong values, and those values very much guide how we operate, how we want every single person in the company to really be so focused on our customers. One of our core values, of course, is that we want our customers to love us fanatically. And that has to be extended throughout the entire organization. The engineers that are working on these very complex things, they know that we're doing this so that our customers love us fanatically. So we build these teams that are excellent talent, but that they have this common mission. And that's what makes us, I would say, a special sauce for us to build these complex products.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a differential, but I also wanted to hear more about your expertise as a product manager. You know, what does it take to orchestrate all these like top level talent and different expertises and make them work together, you know, to reach this goal?
Yeah, as you know, I have a long history of leading product teams in tech companies in Silicon Valley. And when I think of the product managers in many ways really are coordinating and guiding teams that don't report to them. But what's most important is product managers really need to understand what is the problem that we're trying to solve for. Don't get enamored with a solution. First, get enamored with the problem that you're trying to solve for, and then figure out how you are going to be able to build this product with a fabulous experience, working very closely with the design team and making it viable, working very closely with your engineering team. So in many ways, the product managers are sort of responsible for the success of the product, but they only can do that if they work closely with understanding the customer, closely with design, closely with engineering.
What I'm trying to like understand here is like we've been talking a lot about the customer and how to delight the customer, but how do you actually measure it? How do you make it more analytical?
We are obsessed about measuring how well we're doing for our customers. And we do that with a combination of things. Of course, we track NPS very closely, Net Promoter Score.
Can you explain what that is?
So, Net Promoter Score essentially measures how likely it is that customers will be willing to recommend the product. It's a high bar because it's not just customers that are okay with the product. It is customers who really are delighted with the product and would recommend it to others. And we measure that sort of at the product level, but we measure that also at the episode or experience level. So, for example, we have the highest customer satisfaction in our Pix flows in Brazil because we know that this is a type of transaction that customers are doing all the time. And we've spent a lot of time optimizing for it. But that's just one of the measures. We are tracking activity, we're tracking adoption. It is one thing for a customer to tell you, yes, I like this, but if they're not using it, if they're not using it on a continuous basis, then they truly are not loving the product. So we track what is our active customer base, how frequently are they using the product, when we launch something new, how quickly does that get adopted by our customers. So we have a whole analytics team that's really watching in detail everything so that when we launch, we can really test if what we launched was successful or if we need to pull it back and correct it.
Yeah, that's great. And do we make these fast decisions to correct course? How does that work?
Yes. So many times we first launch with a subset of our customers. And we really start tracking. Are they having trouble with it? Are they adopting it? And if we see that we're not getting the results that we expect, or if we see that there are some guardrails of other things not working as well since we launched that, we will pull it back and we will do multiple experiments. We can try different versions of the same feature with different groups of customers and then see which one works best. And we iterate and iterate until we get to something that we feel is really ready for the entire population, that it has the high level of satisfaction from our customers that's not impacting negatively some other parts of the product.
I see. So I guess that's one of the biggest competitive advantages of being a tech company because we do a lot of the experimentation, the testing, rollouts, rollbacks, adjust. It's all very fast,
Absolutely.
right?
That is critical. What we want is to experiment very quickly and learn what's working and what is not very quickly so that we can quickly improve. That gives us a lot of speed that some of the traditional financial institutions don't really have.
Yeah. So I want to take this now to like the business impact side. So we've got this bank account and it's working and the customers are delighted. What is it actually doing to contribute to the new bank business? And I'm thinking here along the lines of, are we gaining principality from that customer through your product?
Absolutely. So when you think about principality, what we're saying is we want the customers to choose to use us as their primary bank. And in many ways, bank account is the gateway to a lot of the other rich products that we offer. But for somebody to really concentrate all of their financial life with us, we need to make sure that their day-to-day transactions, their savings, is something that they're satisfied with. So we are focusing very much on ensuring that customers look at our bank account as their primary bank account. And what that means is that this is the account where they focus to bring the money for their day-to-day transactions, but also money for savings. People are trying to optimize not just the day-to-day, but also they have dreams, they have hopes. They want to be able to put some money away for the future, for their kids. And so what we do in bank account is make it very easy for them to start doing that. So we have some principles uh, to evolve the account to be what we call the smart account. And those principles are organization, um, convenience, and guidance. We want our customers to be able to very easily organize their finances, put the money that they're going to be using during the month in one place, put the money that they can put away for some savings in another place where they can earn more yield. But not only that, we want to make sure that they can always also plan for the expenses they are going to have and that things don't fall through the cracks and that they can make ends meet. So we have a way for them to schedule payments, to decide if those payments should happen automatically. And that brings us to the second one, which is convenience. We want it to make it very easy for people to manage their financial life. And we do that by providing very quick, easy transactions. So we have a lot of the one-click transactions. We recently launched one-click money in with Open Finance. And we now have the opportunity for people that want to bring money from another bank account that they may have to do it with one click so that if they need to pay a bill and they realize that the balance that they have in Nubank is not going to be enough, with one click, they bring money from another account and they can pay. That actually has increased the amount of money that we're seeing come in through Open Finance. It's just because it's so much more convenient.
And through this one-click solution that we
Through
have
this
here.
one-click solution. And again, the reason why we saw this increase is we made it very convenient, very easy, something that used to be very complex and required a lot of different steps. But once you make it easy, customers are going to be using it a lot more. And in terms of convenience, we also have a lot of this ability to, if you do transfers to a contact that you know and you do frequently, we now know that. We make it very easy. You can do a one-click transfer for those contacts that you know. But when it is something new, we're always putting enough friction to make sure that you're not going to make a mistake. And the last one is the guidance. And guidance is very helpful because, again, people are busy, they may forget things. We make sure that we remind customers you have a bill that's coming. We can detect when you have new boletos, for example, in Brazil. We can tell you, okay, you're not going to have enough money at the end of the month to pay this. So we're really trying to guide them and increasingly putting more and more contextual personalization so that customers can really feel that we know them and we're trying to help them their lives easier.
That makes a ton of sense. I love that you mentioned organization because, you know, our money boxes, cajitas, caixinhas, have won awards for innovation, and we're definitely a pioneer. We've seen the market follow along, which is good for all consumers, right? So the smart account concept is really interesting. Do you have any early results to share on, you know, how it's going?
Yes, for example, part of our smart account is our payment assistant. It allows people to schedule payments that are coming. It allows them to get reminders. We've seen the adoption of a payment assistant increase, and we have seen a very direct correlation between principality and payment assistant. The more people use our account, the more they see the value in the payment assistant, the more they see the how easy life is when you're using that kind of assistance, the more they want to concentrate their financial life with us. I mentioned the Open Finance One Click. We've seen very exciting results from that as well.
Laura, I love to end my interviews with a little bit of a fire round. I know you're
Okay.
also a guest lecturer at Stanford University. I'm wondering what advice you give to your students about coming into this career in product management and technology.
As I said, I've been in product management for many, many years. I love product management.
Uh-huh.
And when I teach the students in Stanford, I try to bring a lot of the experiences that I've gained over the many years, and I've been in different types of industries. But it goes down to you need to be solving problems for your customers. This is all about the customer at the end. That's the beginning. And then you need to partner. Product management is not building the product alone. You are orchestrating what all these other talented teams can do for the customer. So it's about focusing on the customer and realizing that you have to partner with these other teams to really deliver what's best for the customer, that delights them, that's viable, and that actually solves a problem 10 times better than the alternatives.
I also know for a fact that you are a wine producer, and I'm wondering if there's any parallel between the two crafts.
That's a very good question. I think that there is a parallel. There's a combination of science and art in both of them. And you cannot just decide it's science and it's all the numbers, and you can look at the numbers and build a delightful product just based on numbers. Same way with the wine, you may have all the information about the sugar and the bricks and so on. That's not enough. You need to have a little bit of this art and the craft of then how do you take what you have and all this
All the
information,
components, right?
and it's both of them for the wine as well. So I would say that that's where I would see the parallel between the two of them. And you have to have a passion for both.
And you have to delight your customer at the end with great
Absolutely.
products and great wine, right? Well, thank you, Laura. This was a great conversation. And I also want to thank our listeners for staying till the end.
Well, Leila, thank you. This was a lot of fun. And thank you to our audience as well.